solutions to issues that affect your family and professional life with practical information to help you get past life's adversities. Take a proactive approach to power up your life with Rosalie's expert resources.
With tourist season in full bloom in Florida, the U.S. is experiencing the most severe outbreak of whooping cough in 50 years. Here to discuss a new study that examines the occasional disconnect between U.S. adults and adhering to calls to action from the Center for Disease Control, doctors, and other healthcare agencies in the community is Dr. Alan London, with over 3 decades of experience in patient care delivery. Good morning, Dr. London.
Good morning, Rose.
Doctor, please share the study findings of the greatest misconception regarding immunization and vaccine-preventable diseases.
Well, we found, as you said, a disconnect somewhat between patient awareness and then their behavior as it resulted in immunizations for themselves. So, for instance, 90% of people were aware that vaccines could prevent viruses and other preventable diseases, yet when asked, only 40% of those same people actually knew which immunizations they needed at their age and which they had skipped or were very late for. So that information gap is critical, Rose.
It's confusing for most of us to know what immunization we need to take and when.
It is complicated. The CDC recommends 17 different immunizations based on age. Many of them are infant and child immunizations, but a good dozen of them are for adults. And frankly, it is difficult for an adult to keep up with the latest recommendations. They change from time to time.
What results from the study was the most surprising?
Whooping cough. We're seeing quite a bit of that. And you mentioned the biggest outbreak in the U.S. in 50 years. Well, in Florida, you've seen already this year more cases than any in the last 10 years. So we know something is wrong. That disease is on the rise, and it was thought to be I've never even seen a case in my entire career. We all were immunized, and that immunization seems to be wearing off.
What immunization should travelers consider before coming to Florida?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rose. So figure in general, you need those immunizations 2 weeks before you're going to be exposed. So if you're thinking you're going to be on an airplane, you're going to be going to a new environment, your community may not have a flu outbreak, but you're going somewhere else, you want that immunization 2 weeks before you go. Same thing with whooping cough. You really need, I had my shot last week. I hadn't had it since childhood, but everything I've read told me I needed a booster. So all adults that haven't had it need a booster of that whooping cough immunization before traveling. Again, that's something that breaks out in different communities and you could be exposed to.
You referred earlier to the immunization impacted by herd immunity. What is herd immunity?
Well, herd immunity is a scientific concept that says if you can get 85 to 95% of the people in a community immunized, the virus or bacteria doesn't have enough hosts to really create an outbreak. So in communities where people have chosen to or forgotten to get their immunization and you're below that 85%, that's a community just on the verge of an outbreak. So every one of us not only have an obligation to ourselves and our family to prevent these diseases, and immunizations are the only thing that prevent them, we have an obligation to our communities to build up the immunity in the community. I'm excited because over the course of my career I've seen more and more diseases where we have a way to prevent them with a simple, quick, relatively inexpensive immunization. That's why we're offering immunizations at the 8,000 Walgreens stores. And an important thing, go to your doctor, go to your pharmacist, get an assessment of where you are, get a schedule of what the CDC recommends, and then just bite the bullet and get those immunizations.
Depression can also be heightened during the winter months after the holidays have quieted down. When we return, learn more about a nutritional deficiency in the brain to cure depression.
My dad's one of the producers, so he's there today. Bring this one.
$18 million Americans suffer from depression. A study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry found 70% of people living with depression will not resolve their symptoms in the first round of antidepressant therapy. But with medical food, the benefits of antidepressant therapy could be enhanced. Approximately two-thirds of people living with depression
talkative and outgoing
will be
individual
unsuccessful
became
with their
withdrawn
first round
after slipping
of
into an episode of
antidepressant
major
monotherapy.
depressive disorder.
And it's not uncommon for antidepressants to lose their effect after a period of time.
I, a lot of times, would have to miss work because the thought of getting out of bed was just too much to handle some days. And I know it was affecting especially our older son because I just wouldn't talk and I wouldn't interact with him, like he needed.
The results of this study published in the American Journal of Psychiatry demonstrate that twice as many patients who were treated adjunctively with 15 milligrams daily of L-methylfolate achieved a clinical response, that is, a significant improvement in depressive symptoms, compared to patients who simply continued their antidepressant and received placebo, which is great news. What's also excellent news is that if you compare this to other well-studied treatments for antidepressant partial non-responders with depression, the relative safety and tolerability of this compound was very favorable. So even though we need to study this intervention further, this clearly can be a game changer for patients and clinicians who treat patients with major depressive disorder.
In Patty Fry's case, her depression was treated for over 10 years, and then her medication stopped working.
Most patients want to be helped and treated successfully, and they want alternatives.
On the Deplin, I'm not on the roller coaster anymore. I'm just even, for the most part, I'm just, walking a steady line rather than just not knowing what day to day would be like.
How Deplin works, it absolutely makes sense because of, number one, the studies that have been done that link deficiencies in folate to depressed individuals, and also understanding that L-methylfolate is critical for the synthesis of the monoamines, which include serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. I mean, if you look at the pathophysiology of depression, we can't point to one mechanism to say why, but we do know that these three neurotransmitters are involved in certainly mental wellness in terms of feeling good, and absolutely a deficiency can cause a depression. So the relationship between L-methylfolate and mood symptomatology and depression, I think, is pretty clear.
There are two messages here. From a scientific standpoint, clearly, we need more research in order to confirm whether this is truly something that's a game changer. From a patient's perspective, I think what I would say is that if you're someone out there who's tried a couple of antidepressants and they haven't worked, this is something to talk to your doctor about. This could potentially be something that would be helpful.
Awareness and advocacy in Florida has integrated the voices of over 42,000 patients and caregivers about Parkinson's disease. More when we return.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If your home was built before 1978, your kids could be at risk. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, and find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Effective conversations about Parkinson's disease at Parkinson's More Than Motion is a resourceful website and Facebook page with a downloadable well-being map designed for patients to track symptoms and help communicate with healthcare providers. Joanne is a longtime Parkinson's patient and advocate. She joins us this morning along with Parkinson's expert, Dr. Theresa Zesiewicz, Professor of Neurology at the University of South Florida. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning. Good morning.
Doctor, what are some symptoms that come on early when a patient discovers that they have Parkinson's?
Well, some of the symptoms that patients have are certainly the motor symptoms, so 70% of patients will notice tremor, but they may also suffer from sleep problems such as insomnia, fatigue, and some problems with memory, pain. So Parkinson's disease actually can be a very painful condition if they have pain in their joints, and they may notice these symptoms without actually realizing that they have Parkinson's disease.
It's a myth that Parkinson's only hits those who are older, right?
That's true. Actually, the average age of onset for Parkinson's disease patients is 60 or 59, so it's actually a pre-senile disease rather than a senile disease in its onset.
And it affects males and females.
Yes, a little bit more predominantly male than female.
Doctor, it also affects more than motion. Can you give us some insight on what a patient would experience on a daily basis?
Certainly. Patients really come in complaining about fatigue. So they just feel so fatigued, and it's just so hard for them to do things. You know, normal things that we do are called activities of daily living. They'll have problems with sleep, so they can't get a good night's rest. It's really difficult for them. And they have gastrointestinal issues like constipation, dizziness is another one, and problems with their memory.
Joanne, tell us, when did you realize you had Parkinson's?
I had symptoms in 1988, but I wasn't diagnosed till 1997 because my symptoms were not tremors. They weren't visible. And as the doctor said, I had joint problems, and it took a long time to be able to diagnose me.
How are you getting out your message about Parkinson's throughout the state of Florida and the nation?
The first year I didn't accept it. I was thinking I could will it away if I didn't think about it, and that was not possible. I had issues with sleep, fatigue, and memory loss, just like the doctor said, and it just was a hard time. Once I finally decided it was here for good, I took the bull by the horn and became an advocate, and I'm very active in the Parkinson's community.
Joanne, what have you learned from being an advocate, and how has this changed your life?
Well, if I can help one person, then it's changed my life. I've gotten so much information myself by just reading every book I possibly can, and I pass the information I've learned on to other people.
Doctor, what advice do you offer as a medical expert in neurology to a patient who is diagnosed with Parkinson's?
Well, to websites like this are really great. Other foundations, first we try to talk to patients and tell them that they may be living with this disease, or will be living with this disease a long time. So it's very important for the doctor-patient relationship. I mean, that's key.
A new statewide database blocked thousands of allergy pill purchases as authorities crack down on meth labs in Florida. Methamphetamine, or meth, is a highly addictive illegal drug produced by combining a household chemical ingredient with an over-the-counter cold medicine. A new cold medicine has derailed meth production and meth drug abuse. Here to discuss the meth drug abuse in Florida and its effects on our community is Bob Jones, president of Acura Pharmaceuticals. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Bob, first tell us, what impact does meth have on our communities and families of the individuals who are using meth?
We have about 400,000 meth abusers in the country at this point, but that's a far-reaching $23 billion problem that we have, because it stems not only the law enforcement that it takes to police this activity. But these lab sites are very flammable, they're very dangerous, they explode, they can burn down property. Every lab that is found is a toxic waste dump that has to be cleaned up at a substantial cost. And perhaps the most important thing here is the children that are found in these meth houses, these meth cook labs, they have to be displaced to foster care, and it's not fair for the children, and it's very expensive.
Explain your solution to meth production by changing the compounds inside cold medicines.
Yes, at Acura, we are focused on bringing medicines to the marketplace that are deterrent or resistant to being abused. Pseudoephedrine, a very popular cold ingredient, is used in the production of methamphetamine. It is the ingredient that is in fact converted to the methamphetamine. So we developed the Impede technology. The Impede is safe, inactive ingredients that we build into the tablets. Importantly, the consumer, the patient, will get the exact same relief as to what they are expecting of the product, but when the meth cooks get a hold of the product, it disrupts their chemical processes to make meth.
What are some dangers of meth being so easily produced?
The magnitude of the problem has prompted a legislative response, and that response are laws that are restricting the access to the consumer in order to try to cut down on the meth labs that are in the community, just because of the cost and the safety issue. That unfortunately has worked to an extent. It hasn't worked completely. So the consumer has been inconvenienced, to use a light term, I guess. And we're unfortunately trending in some areas to people requiring a prescription to get their cost cold medicine that would inconvenience people even further and drive up the cost of health care.
Will there be a difference that people will notice in switching to the new cold medicine?
We tested this product to the FDA standards to make sure that the consumer would get the exact same relief. The difference is that when the product is used by a meth cook in a conversion process, when they start to dissolve the tablets in their chemicals, it turns into a very thick gel, and it stops them from extracting the pseudoephedrine, or otherwise it disrupts the conversion of that pseudoephedrine into methamphetamine.
Where can we learn more?
Anybody who's interested should visit their pharmacy and their pharmacist, and if they're not stocking Nexafed, consumers can go to our website, nexafed.com, that's N-E-X-A-F-E-D, and they can get more information there.
Oh, sweetheart. Gonna give you a hand?
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
A new study shows that parents need to spend a little more time thinking about what they're feeding their baby. Here to discuss baby's nutrition is Dr. Lisa Thornton, a pediatrician expert known on network TV as Dr. Lisa. Good morning, Dr. Lisa.
Good morning.
What safety challenges do mothers face trying to budget the amount of their baby's feeding formula?
Moms are running out of formula before the end of the month, so the baby is drinking more than the WIC program is giving them formula for. And what some parents do is they take what powder is remaining and they put more water in that powder than the manufacturer recommends. And what that does is it stretches the formula, it makes more bottles, but it puts less nutrition in every bottle. And so these babies are not getting the essential nutrients that they need to gain weight, and more importantly, that their brain needs to develop in that critical first year.
Tell us about the results of a baby formula study that compares high-end baby formulas to store brand formulas.
Well, it turns out no brand of formula is better than another. The store brands and the name brands are equivalent, and they have to be. They're regulated by the FDA. The ones that are sold in the U.S. are manufactured right here. There's a plant in Vermont that makes the majority of store brands.
It's a tough economy, so parents are formula stretching. What other alternatives do they have to budget?
Well, if a parent can breastfeed, that's what we recommend. That's the perfect nutrition, but many parents, for a variety of reasons, can't do that. So if you use infant formula, be sure to mix it as the manufacturer recommends. Do not dilute the formula to stretch it from month to month. And then introduce solid foods as your pediatrician recommends. Be sure to love your baby a whole lot, and to save up to $600 a year, families can use store brand formula. There's a website, storebrandformula.com.
Thanks, Dr. Lisa, for sharing this important news that all baby formulas are federally regulated to be equal in nutritional value. Caring for our children means caring for Florida's environment, including managing pharmaceutical waste from hospitals, pharmacies, and other healthcare facilities. The Environmental Protection Agency will soon propose a new ruling for managing of pharmaceutical waste. So, a new innovative recycling effort is being rolled out in Florida to protect our environment.
We're happy to roll out GlaxoSmithKline's Complete the Cycle recycling program. The initiative represents our strong commitment to reduce the company's carbon footprint by recycling waste that would likely make its way to landfills. This program was born from multiple customer recommendations and designed with pharmacists across the country. The Complete the Cycle recycle program for GSK respiratory inhalers is one of several efforts we have in place that focus on environmental sustainability. Among the long-term goals of its green programs, GSK aims to be carbon neutral by 2050.
Learn more what you and your family can do to reduce medical waste in Florida. Go to www.dep.state.fl.us/waste/farm. The Florida Division of Emergency Management reminds us winter's here when we use fireplaces, electric heaters, and burn candles to help keep us warm, and that brings several safety issues. Your first priority is to keep your family safe. Arson fires in rural and urban communities cause loss of life and millions of dollars in property damage. In fact, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives reports serial arson incidents cost millions of dollars in property loss. To help combat arson fraud and increase community awareness of the problem, accelerant detection canines, better known as arson dogs, are put to the test to help sniff out minute traces of gasoline or lighter fluid used to start a fire. Here to help us recognize the achievements of these heroic acts these dogs have performed is Dr. Robert Ganzart, President and Chief Executive Officer for American Humane Association, and Jerry Means, an arson dog, Sadie, a past Hero Dog Award Law Enforcement Arson Dog finalist. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Rose.
Good morning, Rose.
Dr. Ganzart, how prevalent are arson fires in communities around the country?
Well, you know, unfortunately, they're far too prevalent, with loss of life between 150 to 200 civilians a year, members of our communities, family members. And you know, that's the hardest part for us to face. It's needless loss of life, of human life. So what we have here today with us, Rose, are heroes on both ends of the leash who are there to combat this problem. And that's one reason we at American Humane Association decided in 2011 to honor these incredible examples of dogs who are doing extraordinary things in our communities, who are helping to keep our communities safe from harm, and who really provide incredible services to us, just like Sadie.
Jerry, it seems like a big commitment to train arson dogs, right?
It does, Rose. These dogs are trained in Maine. They go through a 5-week academy up there after being sponsored by State Farm Insurance Company. The handler that's assigned to the dog is going to travel to Maine and live with the dog 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's the foundation of the partnership that you're going to work together for several years, 7 to 10 years.
How can our viewers watching this morning request an arson detection team in their community?
It's a great question, Rose. What they need to do is just simply go to arsondog.org, and all the information is on that site. It's got introductions to the different teams that are around the country and what they've been doing, the latest, greatest news in the program, and then of course how to contact State Farm Insurance Company and request a dog for their community so it can start instantly making a difference for their citizens.
Thanks to all three of you for your great arson prevention service. There are numerous resources in Florida for all of us to achieve a greater quality of life for ourselves and our loved ones. So start this new year off right. Get proactive. Create awareness of an issue that you're passionate about to benefit your community. And then share your community awareness project by posting on our Facebook page at Rose Lee Archer, or drop us a line at roseleearchershow.com and tweet us at RoseLeeA. Wishing you and your family a happy and healthy new year. See you next week. Will the solutions to this show's issues help you or a loved one? Find shows like this and others on our website at roseleearchershow.com.
Thank you.